Hello everybody and welcome to the first edition of the 2014 Sports with Steve. This is our 6th episode, if my math is correct, which it usually isn't. I'm Steve, in case you didn't know. We have our tech guy Scott behind the camera. Say hi, Scott. There's Scott, always interrupting me.
Sorry.
Mike is back in Iowa. A cool thing coming up. We're going to have interviews with all of us. I have a friend of mine and a former boss, Jared Sandler, host of Crunch Time 4 to 6 on ESPN 100.9. He will be interviewing me. We'll have Scott's fiancée, Stephanie, interview Scott. And we'll have Mike's girlfriend, Amy, interview Mike. So you get a more intimate look into our daily lives and what we do and what goes into making Sports with Steve. Kind of behind the scenes, because you get sports people, sports characters, and all you see is a suit and a voice. Well, I want you guys to get to know me a little better so that way you guys can talk to me on a more even level, know that I have more interest than just sports, that Scott has more interest than just sports, that Mike is interesting. I mean, you guys don't even know who Mike is. So it'll be interesting to see and get to know us a little bit better. So look out for those videos. They'll be posted on our Facebook page as separate videos so you can watch them anytime you want. I have joined the modern world. I have a smartphone. I know it's kind of crazy, but now you guys can get in contact with me whenever you want. I'll be able to access it quickly. We'll be able to talk back and forth more. Today's show is basically a recap show, this being the 12th of January. We get to look at what happened over Christmas break since the last time I talked to you guys, which was when the 15th of December, something like that. It's at least been a month. Yeah, somewhere in there. I got that right?
Around there, yeah.
Alright, sounds good. Whenever the last video was uploaded. Just a basic recap, stuff you've probably heard before, but I kind of want to give you a comprehensive view. Look out for another video of ours. If you ever have any questions about NFL penalties, something you don't like, something you think that they got wrong, something that doesn't make sense, Scott and I, and Scott will actually be in front of the camera with me, he'll be my guinea pig punching bag, we're going to go over all the penalties in the NFL. We're going to run down the list. I'll try and help you understand what makes a penalty and what doesn't, so you can have a more objective view and a more intelligent view as to NFL penalties and why they get them wrong and how often NFL referees are correct. Because they see it immediately, they see it live, they see it full speed, and they have to make the right call, whereas we have the benefit at home of instant replay, of DVR, rewinding, of what have you, and then we can make the call. They have to do it live on the spot. There are only 7 NFL referees. There's only one interchangeable referee if one of them gets hurt. If one of them gets hurt for a period of time, then they just go to 6 referees, so 7 guys on a 120 by 53 and a third yard football field. It's pretty difficult, so we'll give you the rundown. We're going to start off looking at my smartphone, and I won't name the company that I bought the smartphone because they're not paying me. Just so you know, there are no sponsors to this show, so any product placement is purely incidental. It's just me. It's just my own stuff. So we're going to run through all the bowl games. I don't necessarily like to do this, but I feel like it would be a good opportunity for you guys to hear all of the bowl games. There are 35 bowl games, and I'm sorry if I'm not going to look directly into the camera. I'll try, but let's run down the bowl list. In the Gilded New Mexico Bowl, Colorado State beat Washington State 48-45. In the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, San Diego State whipped Buffalo 49-24. In the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, Oregon State beat Boise State. Boise State, after losing Kellen Winslow, that's not right. What is his name? Kellen? Can't remember his name. A couple years ago, I think he plays with the Lions right now, and it bothers me because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. He had 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns in 4 straight seasons with the Boise State. When they got, shafted out of BCS championship, not necessarily BCS championship, but BCS bowls. And the BCS championship game is no longer. We'll get to that in a second. In the Beef O'Brady's Bowl in St. Petersburg, East Carolina beat Ohio. So far, all the teams that are listed as home teams have won, of the ones that I've named. The RNL Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana Lafayette beat Tulane 24-21. In the Little Caesars Bowl, that happened in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Pittsburgh beat Bowling Green 30-27. In the Military Bowl, Marshall beat Maryland, 2 non-military schools, 31-20. Marshall went 10-4. They were pretty dang good this year. Kind of surprising, being that they're in the Conference USA. Conference USA is one of those lesser divisions, lesser conferences that don't get a lot of publicity, but there are very good teams in every division, every single division. So don't sleep on those teams. Syracuse beat Minnesota after a strong start for Minnesota. They kind of petered off toward the end. Didn't exactly end on a good note and on a strong note as far as the season goes. I think they won the last game, but as far as ending with strength, they didn't necessarily do that. They got beat by Syracuse 21-17, so fairly close game so far, except for the San Diego State Buffalo game. That was a pretty big blowout. North Carolina whipped up on Cincinnati in the Belk Bowl 39-17. Rutgers lost to Notre Dame 29-16 in the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. The Fight Hunger Bowl, Washington beat BYU, Brigham Young University, 31-16. The Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, Michigan lost to Kansas State. Michigan to say that they failed in the second half of the season is putting it lightly. After a big win over Notre Dame, they lost to Iowa. They lost to Kansas State. They really did not play well down the stretch. In the Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl, Middle Tennessee lost to Navy in the triple option, 24-6. So it was the defense of Navy, which Navy's defense has not been particularly strong. Navy and Air Force have a very fast, very high-paced offense, and their defense kind of gets lost in the shuffle because they need to be, they don't focus on the defense, so they give up a lot of points, but they score a lot of points. So it's basically a shootout every game with Navy, although they only scored 24 and they only gave up 6, so kudos to Navy on a good season. Georgia Tech lost to Ole Miss 25-17 in the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. It was a mouthful. Franklin American Mortgage Music. I can't even say it once. Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl.
Is there an abbreviation for that?
The FMCB. There's the abbreviation for that. The Heart of Dallas Bowl. North Texas won in their home state over University of Northern Las Vegas, 36-14. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Mississippi State crushed Rice. Mississippi State went 7-6. In the SEC, Rice went 10-3. Mississippi State, went 6-6, so they just were bowl eligible. You have to have a 500 record to be bowl eligible. Even if you win the division, if you have a 5-6 record, you don't necessarily get a bowl bid.
What's the 500? What's the
same record? 6-6, 5-5 means you win half your games.
Oh, okay.
So since Mississippi State was 6-6, they went 3-5 in the SEC. They were bowl eligible. They played Rice, who was from Conference USA. They went 10-3. 7-1 in Conference USA and got beat pretty badly by 37 points, 44-7. Arizona beat up on Boston College, 42-19 in the Auto Care V100 Bowl. The BBVA Compass Bowl, and I can't remember what BBVA stands for. In Birmingham, Alabama. I'm sorry that I don't remember what BBVA stands for. If you know, please let me know. If you have any questions or if you think I'm just really annoying, email me, svsuiowa@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter @svsuiowa. If you want to hit me, I bet you do something about it. Come see me. Come say hi. Be on the show. Come be on the show. Come stand right next to me and yell at everything I say. I would love to have someone here with me. In the BBVA Compass Bowl, Vanderbilt beat Houston 41-24. Don't worry, we're almost done with these. GoDaddy Bowl. Arkansas State squeaked out a field goal victory over Ball State. Arkansas State went 7-5. Ball State went 10-2 in the MAC. Arkansas State is from the Sun Belt, so not exactly two of the most powerful divisions, but still strong divisions. In this SD County, San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, Utah State beat University of Northern Illinois. After University UNI went 12-0 to start the season, winning, what would that be, 23 of the last 24 games. They lost their last two to not get a BCS bid. They lost to Utah State 21-14. USC surprised me after not having a great start to the season. I think they were 5-4, maybe 5-3, something along those lines. They ended up 9-4. They took on Fresno State, who went 11-1 in the Mountain West Conference. Both of them were ranked. USC was ranked 25th. Fresno State was ranked 20th. USC, if you remember, fired Lane Kiffin early on in the season. I can't remember who they hired. I think it was an interim coach that came in. Did very, very well. They beat up on Fresno State, 45-20. And the Chick-fil-A Bowl, 24th ranked Duke, who played Florida State in the ACC championship game, did not play overly well. And Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel came back and won 52-48. If you didn't see the highlights of that, you really need to. Nebraska played ranked Georgia, and here we get into the bigger bowls. Oh, that last one was the Chick-fil-A Bowl, I said that. We'll get into the bigger bowls with ranked teams. The TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl, one of the bigger bowls throughout the years. Nebraska beat Georgia, 22nd ranked Georgia, who petered off toward the second half of the season. They started off strong. They lost 24-19 to Nebraska. Louisville in the Russell Athletic Bowl stomped Miami. The U. How do you do that? Oh, I think it's just like that. The U. So if you ever see that in the NFL, the U, they don't really name it. That means the University of Miami. They got stomped, Miami did, by Louisville 36-9. Teddy Bridgewater is declared for the NFL draft. Yep, just like that, Scott. Yeah, you look like an NFL player. UCLA. If you saw a basketball game last night, UCLA almost beat Arizona, number 1 ranked Arizona. Arizona was 15-0. They were winning 68-55. I changed the channel to a better game. Michigan against. I just lost who Michigan played. Who did Michigan play last night?
I wasn't watching.
Scott, come on. So this is why we need people here to yell at me when I get things wrong, because I know I watched that game. Anyway, I turned the channel, and when I turned back, UCLA had tied the game 68-68. So UCLA went on a 13-0 run to tie up with the number 1 team, but Arizona did squeak it out late. That was the Russell Athletic Bowl. The Hyundai Sun Bowl. Hyundai becoming very big. UCLA, number 17th ranked, beat Virginia Tech 42-12, probably on 4 field goals. The game that I was paying attention to the most, the Outback Bowl. Louisiana State University, number 16th ranked, took on Iowa. Louisiana State University won 21-14. There were a couple of weird calls. The calls did not decide the game. I want to get that out there. The game was very well played. LSU should have won. They probably should have scored more points. Iowa played fairly well. Both quarterbacks were injured. Mettenberg was out before the game with an ACL tear and an MCL sprain. Maybe that's, I think, ACL tear for sure. And then Jake Rudock was knocked out with the knee injury that he had had the last 3 weeks, playing at Wisconsin. In the Capital One Bowl, South Carolina beat number 19 Wisconsin, number 9 South Carolina, number 19 Wisconsin, 34-24. In San Antonio, the Valero Alamo Bowl, Texas lost to Oregon, number 10 ranked Oregon's 30-7. Mac Brown is no longer the head coach of Texas. It's a very sad situation. He was a very, very good coach, brought Texas back to prominence in the Big 12. The National University Holiday Bowl, Texas Tech beat Arizona State. Texas Tech unranked in the Big 12. Arizona State ranked number 14 in the Pac-12. And Arizona State lost 37-23. Missouri beat Oklahoma State 41-31, number 8 ranked. Missouri, number 13 ranked Oklahoma State. We're almost done, I promise. The Discover Orange Bowl, another BCS big game. Ohio State lost the 2nd game in a row, and only the 2nd game in Urban Meyer's 2 years there at Ohio State. They lost to Clemson 35-40. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, University of Central Florida, surprised me again by beating Baylor 52-42 in a game that most people saw as a shootout. The Rose Bowl, what a fantastic game. If you were to watch any of the games, the Capital One Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the BCS Championship game were the 3 games to watch. Michigan State put an impressive game together, beating Stanford 24-20, and I know Scott's really happy about that. The All-State Sugar Bowl, what a surprise this game was. Alabama, after winning 3 of the last 4 championships, A.J. McCarron, who I am very much a supporter of and believe that he can be an NFL quarterback, but does not seem to have the support of many. Todd McShay, Mel Kiper doesn't seem to have the support of those guys, so they're thinking 2nd or 3rd round, which I did not think. A guy who's won 3 NCAA championships should be in the 3rd round, but that's not my jurisdiction. But Oklahoma surprised in the game. The game was 38-31 with about 2 minutes left, and A.J. McCarron dropped back to pass, was stripped. Oklahoma picked up the ball and ran in for a touchdown. So the game was a 2-touchdown spread, but it really was closer than that after Alabama put together an impressive comeback to make it close. Oklahoma won 45-31 over the previous champion. And the BCS championship game, what a fantastic way to finish off the BCS championship series. The BCS championship series, otherwise it's redundant a little bit because BCS stands for Bowl Championship Series. So I just said Bowl Championship Series, Championship Series.
Oh, since you just went off on that, the Michigan game, it was Nebraska. And
Nebraska.
And they won.
Yeah, I knew they won.
71-70.
I knew they won. It was a really good game. I
Yeah.
watched the end of that one, and I'm sorry for not having that one off the top of my head. I could use it as an excuse. I was driving, so it wasn't yesterday. Yeah, it was last night. I had driven 10 hours home, or 10 hours back to college. So there's my excuse. Be mature. This is a very, very sophisticated sports show.
What are you doing on the 22nd? Iowa's playing Michigan in Ann Arbor. Basketball.
You buying?
Depends on how much tickets are.
I bet they're expensive. We can watch it on TV. It'll be on TV.
Okay.
It'll be on TV.
Okay.
So the BCS game, fantastic. SEC has won the last 7 titles. The last 7 titles. One conference won 7 titles. There was one where there were only SEC teams in there. LSU against Alabama. 7 straight championship games. And then this team from the ACC, Florida State, with Jameis Winston, the rape allegations, it was proven that they could not convict. Those are the words of the lawyers. Could not convict Jameis Winston due to a lack of credible evidence. Beat up on Duke, beat up on everybody. I think they had a statistic in game. Florida State was behind most of the game. Florida State was behind at one point for 33 minutes. Throughout the entire 2013 season, FSU was only behind 28 minutes. Yeah, they were that good. And I think it was against Boston College that they were down. They came back and won that game. But they whooped up on Duke in the ACC championship game. The Heisman Trophy winner, Jameis Winston, put together an impressive fourth quarter drive. Auburn played their hearts out. They did fantastic. Trey Mason going to the draft. Jimmy Jernigan for Florida State, defensive lineman, going to the draft. These two teams were incredible. It was a great fight. I thought there was actually going to be more points with how fast Auburn plays and how kind of iffy their defense was, but their defense stepped up in the first half, especially the first half. But Jameis Winston put on a show, and the rest of Florida State. The Auburn defense kind of lost containment. They let a couple of short passes go for 40, 50 yards that they shouldn't have. Put together an impressive drive. There's a kick return for 104 yards, 100 yards, because the NCAA does not acknowledge past 100 yards, but it was 104 yards. A kick return down the left side because, this is how crazy this is, one of the kick returners pulled a hamstring. That's what opened up the lane. There are 11 guys coming down the field. One guy gets injured, and the lane is opened up. Now, obviously, there should have been better coverage than that, but because the kicker or the linebacker pursued left when he should have pursued to the outside and forced him back inside. That's just my special teams take. But Florida State came back and beat Auburn 34-31 to win the BCS championship. What an incredible game. Now starting next year, there will be a 4-team playoff. Top 4 teams, there will be a committee that decides who the top 4 teams. They'll play the 2 games, and it alternates every year as to where the game will play. I assume the Rose Bowl will have them, the Orange Bowl will have them, what have you. They'll play them, and then they'll play a tournament. And I wonder, I'm not sure about this, if the 2 teams who lose in the playoff game will play a bowl game against each other. I'm not sure. Or if that will constitute their bowl game. I don't know about that. I don't remember if I've heard anything about that. I'm not exactly sure that that would be a good idea because that would reward them for losing, but that's not my jurisdiction. That is college football. I'm going to put that thing down before it dies. So college basketball, Iowa whooped up on Northwestern last night, number 20 ranked Iowa. Iowa State, I watched them play against, I'm going to use that 10-hour drive to my excuse again because I forgot who they played. But they beat them pretty easily. Big 12, Baylor. They played Baylor. It was a real close game in the first half. It might have been a 49-46, maybe like that. I think Iowa State won by 17 points. Only one of 5 remaining undefeated teams. Ranked number 9 right now. Iowa State is incredible. Arizona squeaked out a victory against UCLA in a game that should not have been that close. Memphis upset number 12 Louisville, last year's champion, in Louisville. Not in Louisville, in Memphis. For Louisville's, I think they hadn't lost 2 straight games in like 2 years, and that was their second loss after losing at home the game before. Michigan beat Nebraska. I remember that now, 71-70. Spike Albrecht had a great game. Led Robinson III. Jordan Morgan had an incredible game. Nick Stauskas for Michigan had an incredible game. Michigan State won, and those are the games that matter most. If you have now, college basketball season is not new by any means. I mean, it's not the beginning of the season. But if there are any college football teams, college football season is over, Scott. College basketball teams, college hockey teams, college lacrosse teams, any sport, any team you want us to follow and give you updates on, let us know. We would love to cover them for you. I'll have this. We'll have a half-hour show. I'll have time to tell you the updates and what I think is important. Now, to the NFL. The NBA, the Knicks, I know I just said the NFL. The NBA, the New York hapless Knicks, came back and beat the Miami Heat 102-92. The Heat are not quite as strong as they were last year when they peeled off 29, 30 straight victories, something like that. They're not quite as strong. The Pacers, I think, are better than the Heat right now. They're about the only team that match up well against them. We all know the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year with the Pacers and the Heat, two teams that are destined to go to it again, two very, very impressive teams. Okay, now to the NFL. There are 4 games this weekend. There's Saturday, which is Saturday night. Saturday, it's either, I'll look it up, give me a second. Saturday night, it's the Colts at 8:15 Eastern. Colts going to New England, playing Foxborough against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. See, now I have my own phone. I can look up my own stuff.
Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Tom Brady.
Apparently Scott doesn't like... Well, Scott's a Michigan State fan. That's why he doesn't like Tom Brady, because Tom Brady came from Michigan, right?
No, it's just that he... never mind. Story for a different day.
Story for a different day. Why don't you go ahead and regale us?
It's just... How do I put this? If he gets hit, like, once, he bitches about it. Like, every hit that, like, he gets hit, usually the other team will get a flag. But let's use Stafford on the line, for instance. There's been some cheap shots on Stafford, and they don't get called. It really comes down, in my opinion, it comes down to who it is. When it's Tom Brady, he'll bitch and piss and all that good stuff. Excuse my language, I'm sorry. And, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
The Brady rules. The ever-present Brady rules.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people give me... Oops, I don't know what I'm doing. I just had it. A lot of people gave me flack for being my cousin especially, gave me flack for being a Colts fan. And Peyton Manning, he said that Peyton Manning would have the Manning rules, that all of the late hit, all of the pass interference, you can't do anything on defense because of Peyton Manning's complaining. But after Tom Brady had his ACL messed up in Foxborough, Matt Castle came in, that's when they instated, man, New Year still can't speak. I made it, what, 20 minutes with being able to speak?
Doing very good, very good, Steve. I'm proud of you.
Good job,
I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work.
Scott's proud of me. They instated the Brady rule. Well, they're not technically the Brady rules, where you can't go below the knees on a quarterback, you can't go above the shoulders, you have a very limited window to hit a quarterback. Oh, here we go. Saints and Seahawks, 4:35 on Saturday. Colts, Patriots, 8:15. 49ers, Panthers, 1:05. Chargers, Broncos, 4:05. So it goes NFC, AFC, NFC, AFC. I don't know why the AFC has the 2 home games. That's kind of weird. But that's not my jurisdiction. So the Saints and Seahawks play in Seattle. Seattle only had 1 loss at home against the 10-6 Arizona Cardinals, who did not make the playoffs. Because they had a worse... If they would have won against San Francisco had already clinched the division, they would have had the same record because San Francisco had a better record in division than Arizona. If Arizona would have won, that means the Saints would have had to have lost, because if they would have had the same record, Arizona was 2-4. Well, with the win against San Francisco, they'd have been 3-3 in the division. Saints were 5-1. Their only loss coming to Carolina. So the Saints had a better division record. That's the first determination in a tiebreaker. So in order for the Cardinals to have gotten in with an 11-5 record, the Saints would have had to have been 10-6. Being as it was that the Saints won, they were 11-5. Arizona lost anyway to go 10-6. Carson Palmer, Bruce Arians, Larry Fitzgerald, all of the guys down in Arizona did a wonderful job. Bruce Arians has like 19 wins and 9 losses in 2 seasons. He went 9-3 with the Colts. Technically he didn't, it was Chuck Pagano's record, but he did. And he went 10-6 this season with Arizona. So very, very good job with Arizona. But in Seattle, they only had one loss since the 24th of December 2011. They were playing against the Saints team who went to Seattle and got beat. That's putting it mildly. They did not play well at all. Drew Brees' offense, well, the whole Saints offense was shut down by the Saints defense. I'm looking for a better game this time. Drew Brees seems to just play better in the playoffs. Great quarterbacks do that. He has not played well on the road. Just traditionally, the Saints just got their first road win in their franchise history. They were 0-5 before going to Philadelphia, beating Philadelphia on a last-second field goal, 26-24. Now they're 1-5 on the road in the playoffs. Look to them to go to Seattle and have a better game. I do think Seattle will win, though. I think it'll be 24-21. Let's go 24-21. Seattle up on top. Second game, Colts, Andrew Luck and the Colts, T.Y. Hilton. They picked up Deion Branch, former New England wide receiver, to go to New England. This game is very interesting. I was actually rooting for San Diego to win over Cincinnati because I'm not affiliating with one team. This is a purely objective show. But in order for the Colts to have more success, I believe they need to go to Foxborough over Denver. And the funny story with Denver is they only have 3 losses on the season. All 3 of those teams are in the playoffs. They lost to New England in New England, they lost to Indianapolis in Indianapolis, and they lost to San Diego in Denver. And all 3 of those teams are playing. Right now, San Diego's going to Denver after a big win, 27-10 over the Bengals in Cincinnati. But the Colts going to Foxborough to play Tom Brady. Tom Brady's offense just not clicking as well as it used to. Their defense is a little bit shaky. They do have Aqib Talib back. He is healthy, and he will be on T.Y. Hilton. It'll be a very, very good matchup, one that people are going to want to watch. I really don't know. I can't analyze this game much further. I mean, because both teams, you have Andrew Luck who threw 3 interceptions against the Chiefs and scored. Him and his team scored 5 touchdowns in the second half to win in the second biggest comeback, tied for the second biggest comeback in playoff history at 28 points over the Kansas City Chiefs. You could get that Andrew Luck in the second half, or you could get the Andrew Luck that played against the Rams or the Cardinals or the Bengals or the Dolphins. A team like that just struggles offensively and defensively gives up a lot of points. That's notorious with the Colts. They give up a lot of points, of course, with Tom Brady and Andrew Luck. They're used to playing when they're ahead. Robert Mathis, 19.5 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 1 forced fumble against Alex Smith last week against Kansas City. 19.5 sacks, that's a Colts franchise record. I believe he should be Defensive Player of the Year. He's just an incredible 8 forced fumbles in one season. That's ridiculous. He has 43 in his career. 43. And on the other side of him for a long time in his career was Dwight Freeney, who had probably 35. I mean, both of those guys were ridiculous because teams would be behind. The stat is a little slanted, a little. But you have to give credit where credit is due because most of the times with Peyton Manning being on the offense for the Colts, they would score a lot of points so that the other teams would have to be in pass mode, and the Colts were able to rush 4, rush 5, get more pressure on them from the outside. So the Colts and Patriots at 8:15 in Foxborough. I'm going to pick Tom Brady at home. It's so hard to beat Tom Brady at home. It's so hard. On the road, he struggled. He struggled in Miami. He struggled in Cincinnati. But on the road, or at home, I think he's going to pull it out. I think it's going to be 38-35. It's going to be a high-scoring game. A lot of points in the second half. Once again, the Colts do not score in the first half. They really do not. They haven't all season. They probably won't this time. Sunday's games. San Francisco heads cross-country to Carolina to play the Carolina Panthers. Carolina was quite good this year. It's about time. I've been looking forward to Cam Newton busting out of that shell, becoming more mature, and having a strong team. Ron Rivera has done a very good job. Steve Smith he himself is unsure if he's going to be able to play on Sunday. Ron Rivera, their coach, said that he will play on Sunday. Steve Smith, about the only Panther, if not the only Panther, from the season where they went to the playoffs. They lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That was quite a while. That was 2003, I think. 2003, something like that. Because I think the Patriots beat the Rams in 2001. I think they beat the Panthers in 2003, and I think they beat the Eagles in 2004. Now, those last two could be switched. I'm not sure, because they had Donovan McNabb. It was probably because it was with Terrell Owens. So I think it was 2004 that it was the Eagles. Don't quote me on that, but it's close. It's somewhere in there. A lot of people don't remember the losing teams of the Super Bowl. What were you gonna say, Scott?
Oh, sorry. You always surprise me with what you remember. Like 2003, 2001. I don't even remember what I was doing in 2003.
2000 Super Bowl champions were the Ravens. 2001 was the Patriots. 2002 was the Buccaneers. 2003 and 2004 was the Patriots. 2005 was the that would have been the Steelers. 2006. Who won in 2006? I had all these memorized.
That's okay.
Oh, 2006 was the Colts. 2007 was the Giants. 2008 was the Steelers. 2009 was the Saints over the Colts. 2010 was the Packers. 2011 was the Giants over the Patriots again. 2012 was the Ravens. 2013, unknown yet. And that was the season of 2001, not the Super Bowl took place in 2001. Just for a little clarification, because it's 2014 right now, obviously. For those of you who are new to this year, we're 10 days in. Welcome. Okay, so back to football. Now that we're 55 minutes into the show, I have no idea how time around me. Saints.
Yeah, do I?
Already talked about the Saints. 49ers. Shove that to the side. 49ers against the Panthers, playing in Carolina. I think Colin Kaepernick, there was an article on NFL.com after a 23-20 victory in Lambeau that the 49ers were unstoppable, they were the best team in the NFL. I don't buy into that. I think there are a lot of teams, especially on the AFC side. The NFC is the strongest conference by far, but the AFC has stronger top echelon teams. Right now, 4 very, very good teams. San Diego is probably the worst out of them all. And they've whooped up on Cincinnati. They've beaten Denver. They've played really well lately. So I think Scott's making weird faces at me.
No.
So San Diego goes to Denver. That's the late game. Sunday, 105, 4:35. 105. 105. Yeah, 4:35 is the Saturday afternoon game. 105 is the Carolina-San Francisco game. I think San Francisco goes to Carolina. I think Luke Kuechly, the Panthers' very, very formidable defense will stop the 49ers. I think the Panthers win 28-14. The last game, I don't think this is the best game. I think the best game was the Colts-Patriots. Denver at home, 13-3 against the San Diego team that beat them in Denver. San Diego had to have 58,000 things happen the last week of the season, the last 3 weeks of the season, and they all happened. Obviously, they're in the playoffs. Pittsburgh, what a story that would have been if they had gotten the playoffs. Start off 0-6 and make the playoffs at 8-8. They did not. But San Diego goes to Denver. I think that Phillip Rivers is having a tremendous season. And if Peyton Manning wasn't off the charts with 53 touchdowns, 15,000 yards, that's slight exaggeration, but over 5,000. Most points scored by a team, most passing yards in a season for Peyton Manning. If he wasn't having the ridiculous season he was, I think Phillip Rivers would win MVP. Like 68% completion percentage, like 33 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, and I'm just guessing at that, but you get the ratio. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio, touchdown to interception. But I think this will be a good game. It'll be another high-scoring game. Broncos hope that a Ravens situation does not happen again, where they lose containment on the outside, score a deep pass in the last minute of the game. I think San Diego goes in and plays well, but I think Denver will pull it out. I picked Denver to go to the Super Bowl. I still think they will. So I picked Denver in an interception or a fumble recovery late in the game. This is why it's a 2-touchdown spread. I'm going to go 34-21. That's not touchdowns, so 34-20. 2-touchdown spread. Learn how to do math, Steve. So those are the 4 NFL games. This is off the top of my head analysis, what I remember. If I forget something, if I get something wrong, if you think I'm a complete dolt, let me know. I really want your opinions. I want, I'm not paid. I'm not sponsored. This is just my opinion, my based in fact opinion, my very intelligent opinion, but an opinion nonetheless. I want your ideas. I want your thoughts. I want your criticism, whatever, what have you. At SVSU Iowa on Twitter, svsuiowa@gmail.com. I want you to ask me questions. I want to answer your questions. It's all about you. It really is. I'm a guy who knows about sports, and I know that you guys know about sports. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching me. And you want to know more about me. I want to know more about you. Not in a creepy stalker fashion. Well, that's kind of what Twitter is. At SVSU Iowa, svsuiowa@gmail.com. that is all for today's episode. We will hit you guys next week, which will be the 19th. The Sunday will be the 19th. We'll see who will be in the championship games, the AFC championship game and the NFC championship game. Right now I have it New England against Denver, Tom Brady against Peyton Manning, epic AFC championship games. That game would take place in Denver. Peyton Manning is 4-10 against Tom Brady. Not very good numbers. In the NFC I have Carolina going to Seattle. Two defensive powerhouses, two offensive powerhouses in the AFC, two NFC defensive powerhouses. Those are the matchups I have for you. We'll talk to you guys next week. We'll have some more college basketball updates. And any team you want me to follow, any team you want me to update on, any team you want me to care about. I care about all teams, but specific teams to you, I want to know. That's all for this week's episode. I know I've said that once, but this really is it. You guys have a good week. SVSU starts classes on Monday. Good luck, students. We will see you guys next week.